Hey, good afternoon, good evening. It is Wednesday evening. And so this kind of reminds me back in the day. We used to go live on Wednesdays. That was our day when we used to go live back in the Blog Talk Radio days where we sound like it was an AM transistor radio before we got into all this newfangled stuff that we are all working with now. First time tuning in, my name is Miguel Lloyd, host of Life Full Circle Radio. My co-host is the super producer, Kia Shakur. I'm going to bring her in a minute. And I just want to play this again just because it's just a little dope from her. Because DL Hughley and Monique have lost their mind. Make sure you guys follow us on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all that good stuff. And Kia Shakur, what the deal is.
What's up? Weekdays for us are always hard. Unless there's something real to talk about, this don't happen on a weekday.
Nah, but there's a whole lot going on with this here. And it's so crazy because my rational way of thinking causes me so much heartache. I just need to be just ratchet like with the rest of everybody. Let me pick my side. Let these people act a fool, and then let it roll because it's crazy out here, man. I hear these people, talk about. Let's set it up, all right? Because it's funny because a couple of people I inboxed. Oh, I don't know what's going on with DL Hughley and Monique. Oh, word? Okay. All right, So DL Hughley, Monique won a show in Detroit, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna play this video. No, we're gonna do it, and I'm gonna play DL's because DL explains what I'm getting ready to explain. DL,
where are you gonna play her video? Because that's where it went.
Where is her video? Where I don't have a video of her. Is it on her Instagram?
So I saw her video on YouTube, but I think the promoter, whoever took it down, because it technically is copyright infringement because it's like a good portion of her.
Oh, you're talking about the video from the show itself?
Yes, from the show.
No, I can't find that anymore.
Okay, yeah, they took it down, but I don't know if you want me to break
that.
Yeah,
go ahead, break it down. Go ahead, break it down.
So the reason why all of this started, there was a performance in Detroit where it was Monique and DL and a few other people who were performing. Typical comedy show. Mm-hmm. Out of nowhere, to nobody knows what's going on. You see her on stage, and she starts to talk about DL.
Yeah.
How she's a black woman, she needs to be respected, and she did her usual spiel. We've heard a variation of the speech over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Have we not? They're always trying to disrespect me, and I got to stand up for myself, and Black power, and we're sisters, and our natural way, whatever.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you see her take off running down the stage. Have you seen the clip of her running at least?
I've seen her walking briskly because I don't think Monique runs a whole lot anymore. But
she took off running in the middle of this performance, which made everybody laugh, and then she just keeps going and going about DL is a BAN. I'm not going to say it on the show. How his wife should be ashamed of him. How do you have sex with a BAN? And
No, it was even more disrespectful. She said, how do you perform fellatio on a coward BAN? And I'm paraphrasing. So I feel sorry for you because it was so disrespectful. To me, that's when I checked out with her. That's when I was just like, you know what, Monique? Just last week, they were celebrating. I think a week before, the Lee Daniels, I guess, apologized to her or whatever. And here's the thing about here's the thing about this Monique situation.
Oh, and she got the role on BMF with 50 Cent.
Right, and let's just see, when that smoke starts to bellow up, because we know 50 Cent sitting back like he's just like the mad scientist sitting back like, because nobody else right now is going to touch Monique.
Okay, wait, we got to keep going because we'll get off on tangents. Right. Okay, so that performance happened. Nobody knew what was going on. Everybody was like, well, why is she going off on DL Hughley? He's coming up after her. Like, what's happening?
Right.
So then we get on social media and we start to see the back and forth. Now Q and Miguel. Yes, now you go.
Yeah, and so I saw this video. It was a 10-minute rant that I saw of Monique. And I said to myself, like, sis, you got to be kidding me, man. You sit up here. This is stuff that you handle in the background. And here's the other thing. I know the promoter. The promoter is actually a client of mine and a friend. Like, I'm talking about someone now, part of the staff, the whole New Day Entertainment. It's the Eagle, because actually, it's funny. I actually got a couple of calls in the last couple of days. People trying to track down, getting a conversation with New Day, and I'm sitting back like, call comes, is this New Day Entertainment? I'm like, no. And it got into this whole thing. I said, well, no, they're clients of mine. I have nothing to do with whatever they're doing, blah, 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 blah. So of course, they doing what they're doing. They're handling their business because this is a legal matter now.
Yes.
But then I was just like, man, this is, and I would listen to this stuff, and I said to myself, now I know these aren't rookie promoters. When they talk about janky promoters and all this nonsense, we're talking about New Day Entertainment. Quentin Perry used to be Prince's personal promoter. This guy been promoting shows since the 70s, and the family been promoting since the 70s. They not new to this. Monique not going to scare them. It's not going to be a thing where all of a sudden they don't know what they're doing. So here's the thing. So then the stuff starts flying around, and I'm always in the common sense way of thinking. I didn't care about the contracts, be honest with you. Because I know when it comes down to it, the contracts were that bad, legal was going to get involved, and it was going to be some smoke. But I said, I trust New Day, and I know they're not going to do this stuff the right way. They're going to do it the right way. But then I said to myself, when she went off the way that she went off, I cared even less about the contract because I said it was so disrespectful and disgusting that I said, I don't even care about her contract. I don't care about her position. I care about the fact that she acted a plum fool. I want you guys, and I want y'all, for all y'all out there who down with Auntie Mo, hey, where's the video you got with Monique? If I find it, I'll play it. We'll do a whole nother show and talk about Monique. But here's the thing that I try to explain to people who was wanting to debate me online about who's bigger, Monique or DL.
If anybody says the word Oscar, I'm walking off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The Oscar came up. I'm just like, nobody cares about that Oscar she won 15 or 20 years ago. Nobody cares. Here's the other thing that people understand. I've been in this business now for the better part of 25 years, right? Started off in the radio business. Here's how radio promotions go. Here's your master class for folks who don't think they know what they're talking about. Promoter goes out. Promoter starts to book their show. They book their venue. They get their headliner or the person they think they're going to be the bigger draw. They go to the radio stations or go to the promotion. Obviously now you got social media, and you go to people and say, okay, well, Hughley's got 2.4 million followers. Monique's got 1.2 million followers. Okay, then I'm going to go to this radio station who, oh, by the way, DL Hughley works for. He is syndicated by the largest black syndicator in the country. Mm-hmm. He's in 70 markets. Yes. Which means that every day in the afternoon, there are people driving around this country listening to DL Hughley. Ain't nobody driving around listening to Monique every day. So, right. So if it comes down to, you say, all right, well, here's the thing. Maybe, let's just say, because I don't know the timelines of everything, and nobody knows it, and they won't know it until they decide they want to. What
timeline would you like? What's the timeline?
Well, the timeline I'm looking for is not the recent timeline. The timeline that I'm looking for is that who was signed onto the show first? Who started the marketing and the promotion first? Right?
Okay. So I'm trying to see, because what they both did.
Well, I'm going to give you time. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you time to look up that if you can find it while we listen to DL Hughley and his rant on his show. I only call it a rant. It was actually a very well proportioned, put together presentation. Let's check out DL while you look up a little bit.
Okay.
All right, that was Khalid talk. I work very hard to control the environment I work in comedically. I only work where I want to work and who I want to work for. I want to work with. I don't work because that is a very precious place to me. I've been offered a gig, a couple of gigs, 3 or 4 gigs. To work with Monique in LA, in Brooklyn, in Houston, and I turned them down because I didn't think it would work. So after talking to a lot of people, and one of the very people in this room about how things are different, 2 of the very people in this room, as a matter of fact, and how things are different, and look at how things are coming around, I decided it would be wrong for me not to give somebody a chance based on things that they'd never done to me. That would have been wrong to me. And when she talks, she goes on her diatribe, and she talks about me having my feet under her table. That was at her invitation. I was doing a gig in Greenbelt, Maryland. She lived in Baltimore. She was having a fight party. It was, I think, Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. And sure enough, I came to her table at her invitation. And it was a wonderful time. As a matter of fact, it was based on that interaction, along with talking to people, I decided that I would do these gigs. I decided I would do it. And now I know what Tyler Perry knows, I know what Lee Daniels knows, I know what Oprah knows, I know what Steve Harvey knows, I know what Charlamagne the God knows, I know what Netflix knows. Saying yes to Monique is an occupational hazard. Now, we go to, we're playing a gig in Detroit this weekend. I know I'm going on at 9:45. I leave the hotel. I get there around 9. Monique had just gotten there. She's supposed to be there at 8:40. She had just gotten there, gone at 8:40. She got there at 8:38. What Monique was trying to do was to slow walk the show. She didn't end up getting on for 30 minutes. The oldest trick in the world is, if I want to change the order and I don't have merit, I'll try to make people wait so long that everybody gets nervous and go, please just go on so we can avoid a conflict. That didn't happen. Monique got on stage. Monique actually felt like she had merit. She would have done one of three things. Either she would have took it up with the promoter, and she did, and the promoter said, we're going on, and whether you're going or not, that's a different thing. You would have not done it, but she knew she had to get on stage, or she would have been in breach of contract, or she would have come to talk to me. She didn't ever, and I emphatically emphasize this, she never once talked to me. I haven't seen Monique in years. I didn't see her at the venue before, after, or during. I haven't spoken or seen Monique. So if you really thought that you had a legitimate contract dispute, you would have come to me and said, hey, I have this contract and you have this contract. Notice not one thing on that contract, not one person she has on that contract, not one thing happened. Do you know why? Because it wasn't legitimate. And she goes on stage and she proceeds to eviscerate me. Not just me, but Steve Harvey, the sexual, my wife, my dog later on in subsequent conversation. Let me ask you something. What did any of that have to do with an alleged contract dispute? What did Steve Harvey have to do with your contract? What did I have to do with your contract? What did my dog have to do with your contract? What does my wife have to do with your contract? You wrote your contract, you and your daddy. You proceeded to say things that were so patently insulting that it was galling. You asked in subsequent conversations why I have a dog, a support dog, what kind of person has a support dog. I have that dog because my father died. My children and family decided they would get a dog from where he was from, and I named the dog after my father. I don't have a dog to keep people away from me. I have a dog so I have my father with me all the time. That is an act of love which you know very little about. None of that had anything to do with alleged contract dispute. You could have taken that up with a lawyer. You would have gotten out. You could have not gone on stage, but you knew you didn't have a valid contract. And you do what you always have done. You tried to weaponize black femininity. You tried to turn that audience against me. You tried to burn everything down.
Yeah. So, and that goes on for a couple more minutes. But here's the thing. Everything about that makes sense to me. And one thing we talked about before we went to that clip with DL, going back to what really annoys me about it is that it's simple love and respect, right? These are two giants in black comedy. They are A-list of black comedy for the last 30 years, right? And right, and so she talking about DL and DL. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. She's living in this past, right? The last time they fought,
I thought that was a charity fight from recent. She talking about the original one, the original death fight. No, she not. Lies and shame the devil. She's not talking about the original Tyson and Holyfield fight. I was in high school. Was I in high school?
Yeah, because I was in college, I believe. Or not.
Might have been in middle school.
Or fresh out of college.
A little weird, but
right.
Yeah.
But bottom line, she's talking about some really old stuff. You talking about, in her rant, and you guys can go find it if it's still out there. She talking about some, you close for the kings of comedy. You open for the queens of comedy. I close for the queens of comedy.
We'll get back to that in a second, but let's just go through the contract because there's so much stuff that I want to go through.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the contract part is weird. So Miguel's showing it, it's on your screen. Wait, over here.
There you go.
So this is Monique's contract. And if you look at it, this is a contract that they created. This is not a contract from New Day. This is a contract that they created. And this is normal. Miguel will tell you, this is normal. You create a contract, you submit it, they sign it, notarize it, pin it, whatever they're supposed to do. And then you have okay, this is the final contract.
Well, listen, and before we leave there, because we want to go to another page. For everybody who says, this is a signed contract, these are initials. And this is page 1 of 8.
Yes.
This is not the complete contract. And it's not a contract. It's not a contract from New Day. But the bottom line is, I want to make sure we touch on that point. Everybody says, well, he posted a deal memo, she posted a signed contract. As you mentioned, this is from Hicks Media.
Their company.
It has initials on it. It's page 1 of 8. Anybody who's gotten a mortgage before understands that until you sign that last page, all this initialing stuff is not what is the final contract. But go ahead.
So she has this. Okay, fine. He has, like you said, his deal memo, that his contract memo, which he posted. What a contract memo is, and people are confused about this, and people are like, well, is this and that? A contract memo for a lot of people, especially comedians, when you travel all the time, and Miguel can attest to this, a deal memo is almost like a summary of what the contract is.
Correct.
And they just send this out to the performer, say, listen, this is what the contract said. Here's your summary. This is what it is. Okay, fine. Only issue with DL also didn't show us a signed contract. He just showed his deal memo.
I don't think DL has any intentions of showing his contract, because DL is acting like a professional. Right, to even do this part, it was kind of like, all right, I'm tired of her talking, so I'm at least going to show this. That shows clearly that he had the final say. That he's the highest paid performer on the show, and he has to approve the lineup and order the show. Now she comes back and posts this email from Kia, including this run of show. But then in the same, now mind you guys, this is still Monique's Instagram. So it ain't like I'm sitting up here. I'm right on Instagram as we speak. Then she posts the actual run of show. Now here's the thing.
And it's a run of show taped to the wall. It's not a PDF form you got in email. Hers, it looks like a PDF still on her computer. That's a PDF from the computer. Right. The one that she's showing here, which I'm not sure why she showed this, is actually taped to the wall somewhere.
Right. So her we're assuming her stance is that DL came in and pitched a fit and changed up the run of show. And in that video that we show clips of, DL talks about how she basically was trying to slow the show down, and that's that's the he say she say part of it.
Yeah,
it is what it is. That's part of the business. But my thing is, all of this stuff should have been handled behind the scenes. Folks did not come to that show to hear you ranting and raving about your contract disputes. Here's what you didn't hear her ranting and raving about. She got paid. Because if she wouldn't have gotten paid, she wouldn't have been on that stage, and that definitely would have been a part of her rant, and we'd have been hearing about that for the last 3 or 4 days.
And here's another interesting thing. I saw the posters and all the promotional material, which, by the way, both people have to approve. Both me and Miguel know that. That's even for ads that go online. The people have to approve this stuff first. But what's confusing is it doesn't say DL Hughley featuring Monique. It says DL, Monique. He had the nerve to say, well, my picture's bigger. Those two pictures are the same exact size. So all of this is confusing. Though his picture is slightly bigger. Okay, fine, whatever. But she's also looks like she's another top billing person on here. Am I wrong or am I right?
Well, she is a top billing person. We're not, but here's the thing. They can't perform at the same time.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that the confusion that she has and the frustration she has, it all makes sense. No one is negating that this is confusing for Monique, her team, everybody. The beef comes in at
I negate that. I don't know what you're confused about. What are you confused about? Somebody's got to go on before the other. And if if that runner show says that Monique's supposed to be there at 8:40 to perform the 9:25, and DL's supposed to be 9:45 to 10:30, that means that's just a clock on the wall.
We don't know when these schedules came out. We don't know when his got taped up, changed, whatever. We don't know any of that. I'm saying is her beef or annoyance or frustration, 100% valid. It's confusing. Where she messed up and what DL is talking about, which me and you both agree with, you cannot get on stage and say the stuff you said and expect people to be cool about it. Everything she said was so disrespectful. You want to be mad, Monique? Cool. We all know you like to get on stage and complain about stuff, no matter what it is. Your Spanx too tight. It didn't have a treadmill. And not the food you wanted to have. Disrespecting you black women.
Right.
But the stuff you said You can't come back from all of that stuff. That was unnecessarily mean, inappropriate, and disgusting to do that. To
Absolutely.
question his sexuality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's so many things wrong with what she did, in my eyes. And that was part of it. When you sit up here and so how on one breath are you going to talk about being disrespected as a black woman, and the black woman is always disrespected, but you got up there and disrespected his wife? How does that? How do you reconcile that in your mind?
You're right. I don't. And yeah, and then you attacking the service dog. Like, you didn't say anything that was that was necessary. You're mad.
My brother has a service dog. That dog is the most loving, huge dog in the world, right? And some people need service dogs. That's just something. If they're going through things emotionally, medically, things of that nature. That's all that stuff is such. So you low blowed about the service dog.
Really
you
quick,
low blowed about the wife, huh?
Just to pause really quick, to every people with service animals, we're not talking about y'all with people trying to take pigs on planes. We're not talking about y'all people with the peacocks. We're not talking y'all with the support hamsters. We're not talking to you. Hey, okay, so I'm gonna make that. I'm sorry to make people laugh, but I'm serious.
No, that's fine. We can laugh. If somebody got to support hamster, do what you got to do, dog. I'm just like, whatever works, whatever floats your boat.
If somebody got to play with a support hamster,
he's my support, and got one of them little vests on that got the service in little small 6 font on the side. But you know, it's all good. So I just feel sorry. You know, here's the thing, and you know me, I'm always about reverse engineering and the bottom line. The bottom line is this: Monique, you're not bigger than DL Hughley. And here's why you're not bigger. In 2022, maybe in 1998, you were bigger than DL Hughley. I remember back in the late 90s to early 2000s, the biggest black women comedians were Monique, Samore, and those are the two that immediately come to mind. So Monique was big.
Monique, Samore, and what is her name? Miss Laura. Remember Miss Laura? The comedian Miss Laura. You remember Miss Laura?
Nah.
She was one of the queens of comedy.
I didn't even, and it ain't no knock. I don't remember. I'm sure I've seen the Queens of Comedy. I don't remember it, but besides, I know Samore, who I think is one of the funniest women on the planet.
That's what my mom said.
Oh, Samore is so funny. And then Monique is funny. Let's make sure. Monique is what she used to be. She used to be really funny.
So really quick, the original Kings of Comedy came out in 2000, and before that, Dio, wasn't he the longest running host on what was the BET comedy show?
Comic View.
I'm sorry, he was one of the longest running hosts on Comic View, and I think during that time he had the DL Hughley show. Am I correct?
I think about his suits. Yeah, that was probably mid to late 90s. Yeah.
So he wasn't just some random little small time comedian the way she's trying to make it out to be.
Right. DL was they were A-list. DL, Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, rest his soul, Cedric the Entertainer, Samore, they were all A-list. Martin Lawrence, they were all A-list at that time.
Yes.
But that's 1995, 7, 9. It's not 2022. You ain't got booked in a movie in God knows how long. And part of it is that you have burned so many bridges. If all you Monique fans out there, say what you want. If Monique think that she done burned, how many bridges you gonna burn? Tyler Perry, Oprah, Lee Daniels. So you basically talking about some, huh?
Netflix, the whole network.
The whole daggum network. And then you say, well, they want, they were giving all that money to Amy Schumer. Do you know how big Amy Schumer is? First of all, the market. I'm not saying here's the part that people have to stop. It ain't about who's the funniest.
You're right. I turned my nose up because I don't find her funny. I don't like her movies. Her recent whole meltdown about Will Smith, but that's a different situation.
Right.
Let's keep it on the same thing. One of the comments she made is that she closed for the Queens of Comedy, and he opened for the Kings of Comedy. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, because I was younger back then. the Kings of Comedy wasn't set up like an open or closed situation, was it? That's not how that run of show was supposed to be, because Steve Harvey was hosting, kind of, sort of, and he didn't have a full set. He just did his sets in between and introduced all the guys. And then Bernie Mac was the end, but nobody was an opener and a closer for that.
Yeah, sure they were, because you can't. Somebody had to come on at 7 o'clock, and somebody had to come on at 9, and DL was the first one. So it was Steve Harvey, DL, and I'm trying to recollect, and I know Bernie closed it out, and I know Sid was in the middle. So DL opened up that show, but that's like saying that Klay Thompson, who's getting ready to be in the NBA Finals, just because he's the third best player on the team, and they still in the NBA Finals. When you talk about the top 4 black comedians at the time, outside of Martin Lawrence, they were it.
You are right.
And so, and when we talk about the women, she was it. She ain't it right now. Tiffany Haddish is probably the biggest black woman comic right now, or Wanda Sykes.
Is not funny. My Baby's going number 2 is more funny than Tiffany Haddish, and that's a whole separate conversation.
And once again, I don't think
it doesn't matter. I know
Tiffany is not that funny to me. But it's not about, I'm not her market. It's not about, I don't even think Kevin Hart is. I think Kevin Hart is a great storyteller. I think he does a great job with his audiences. There's a reason why Kevin Hart is not doing as many stand-ups as he used to, because now he's a kingmaker. I mean, he's at a point now. Here's what I love about what Kevin is doing. Kevin got the network on Sirius XM. Where he's running clips of all these comedians. He's like, I'm going to be the kingmaker. I'm going to make sure these guys who came before me get some exposure, right? You know, he is, from a business standpoint, has done it better than everybody, including Eddie Murphy, from my perspective, because he's put so many people on.
And he made The Rock funny. I don't know if I realized this. Nobody thought The Rock was a comedic actor. Then he hooked up with Kevin Hart. Now he's like, oh my God, The Rock is so funny in this movie. He's like, no, he's not. Anyway, the reason why I'm going back to the King and Queens of Comedy, because her level of petty doesn't make sense to everybody. Like you're saying, you closed for the Queens of Comedy, whatever. You were one of 4 women on that stage. Yeah. Samore was one of the biggest people out. Absolutely. I remember her whole hula hoop joke from that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Adele Givens was also on that.
Adele Givens, yes. Her, absolutely.
But she's hilarious.
The business standpoint has done it. Yep.
So putting that petty, you always want to bring up, I was in the funniest Christmas movie in 2016, 15, Almost Christmas.
Was that movie in the last 7 years? Okay. But you
it might have been longer. It might have been 2006.
And that's so fun. It was an ensemble cast.
Thank you. She always brings these up like she was the stars of these things. You were not. The only movie you were basically the star on was Precious. And you won an Oscar for that. That's great. Oscars don't mean what everybody thinks they mean. They just don't, for anybody, white, black, green, blue, it doesn't matter. But she's always wanting to throw out these accolades and say, this is why I deserve this. When in reality, Monique, how many large arenas have you sold out? That's what everybody cares about.
Right.
You have been.
Right. If I'm a promoter, and going back to where I was starting, at the top of the show, if I'm a promoter, that's why I was wondering who got booked first. And let's just say the scenario is that Monique committed to the show first. And she was committed as the headliner of this show. She had the inclination, she thought she was the headliner. And then after that first radio buy, and them ticket sales ain't flying. Ticket sales ain't flying. Now I got X amount of money in the venue. I got X amount of money in the radio promotion. I got X amount of money in paying this artist. And so if I'm going to pay this artist, just throw a number out there. If I'm going to pay this artist $50,000 to do this show, and this venue cost me $70,000, X, and I got to generate for this one show, because I ain't got no multiple nights. It's one show. And I got to sit up here and generate to make my money $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to make my money back, make the profits I'm looking for. And she ain't the one. I'm going to go to DL Hughley, who is in 70 markets, who's a top radio station in Detroit, buy airtime on the show, pay him to come on, and all of a sudden now my show going to sell out.
And that's cool. That means her beef is with the promoter. It has nothing to do with you going out there talking. And this is what kills me about Monique. Monique, you don't have to do none of this stupidness. She didn't have to do this. How many bridges we've asked this multiple times with her. How many bridges are you going to burn? We said Netflix. We've said Hollywood. Even though you've gotten these apologies from Tyler Perry and everybody else, I feel like it's more of a, will you just shut up and go away? Like, I'll give you this apology because I don't even care about this anymore. I don't
Right.
have to hire you.
Right.
Nobody else is going to hire you. Now you burn your bridge with comedy, because black comedy, I feel like, and you can agree or disagree, is about loyalty. And the one thing a lot of these black comedians have always made sure of, they were always been loyal to each other, no matter what. I've never heard any of them talk bad about it. Have you heard any of them talk bad
Now,
about each other?
well, we don't know what the conversations are behind, but I know that they have shown, to your point, you always see Steve and DL and Cedric the Entertainer and Earthquake and these guys
And Mario Lopez and all the they
all are a tight knit group, right? And so because it just makes sense. George Lopez, you're talking about, not Mario Lopez.
Sorry,
George Lopez.
Mario Lopez is from Saved by the Bell. My mistake.
Yeah. I was like, Mario Lopez. Oh yeah, I remember. I watched Saved by the Bell growing up. So these guys always seem to work, but it seems to be that Monique just can't play nice, and her thing is that's the reason why I'm not getting gigs. That's the reason why I didn't get the Netflix. No. In addition to you not playing nice, you can't sell out in the arenas. So if you can't sell out in the arenas by yourself, it's going to be commiserate your pay. Because here's the thing, there's a lot going on right now where money is being made. A lot of black entertainers are making a whole lot of money right now.
Oh yeah, because that whole couple of years off from the pandemic, now venues and promoters are throwing money at black comedians. Right. I'm talking, oh, you want $5,000 to come up for 5 minutes? Here's just $5,000. Like we want these venues filled up. I just forgot what point I was gonna make, but she keeps also weaponizing black femininity.
Yes.
And I hate that. I hate it. Just because you do things behind closed doors, just because sometimes you're go along to get along in front of people and then behind closed doors you're talking to lawyers and everything, doesn't mean you're weak. Doesn't mean you're allowing people to disrespect you. It means you know how the game goes. I've been in my for a long time. I've had racist clients. I didn't cuss them out on the phone. I was like, okay, this and that. The second I got the phone, I would talk to my CEO and be like, yo, he was racist. My CEO was like, cut him, fire him. Actually, I'll call him right now and wrap this up real quick. Like, that's professionalism, whether you're black, white, green, blue.
Right. Bottom line. And that's the part. We all have times where we really want to cuss out our clients. We all have times that we don't like the situations that we're in. You have to be professional. And my thing is, the bottom line for me is, okay, Monique, you big and bad. You this. You and your husband, y'all go out and promote your own shows.
Why haven't they done that yet? You've complained about it.
Yeah, because that ain't as easy as you know what I mean? You go out here and you got to negotiate with these venues. And here's the thing. Ain't but one big venue like that, and but ain't a whole lot of venues you gonna go into each town. You go in Detroit, you go to Fox Theater. You go to Atlanta, you go to Fox Theater. You go to DC, you go to Howard Theater. They're all of these theaters that are gonna be in that 4,000 to 5,000, 7,000 range. And they may cost you certain. You think these promoters? You think a promoter like New Day, who's been making these people a lot of money for the last 40, 50 years, are not gonna be like? They call them like, what do you think about working with Monique? That's on you.
No, thank you. Or that's a personal choice. Or like DL said, it's an occupational hazard. You deal with it at your own risk.
Right.
And where is she gonna go now? I actually kind of want her to mess up with 50 Cent because he's the wrong one.
Oh, that's when we get your popcorn. Get your popcorn ready. If it comes down to Monique and 50 Cent beefing, get your popcorn ready. This is
a horrible human being. He's a horrible
person. I'm not a big fan of 50. I never have been. I go back to when he first came out, and because I'm not a person who really enjoys conflict, and his whole career has been built on conflict. His first song was a song about robbing rappers. That was his first song. You're not old enough to know. I'm telling you, you wasn't listening when he first came out in probably 93, 4. It's a whole song about him robbing, what he would do to rob the best MCs, and that's how we got notoriety. And
the first song I remember is In the Club, and that must have been a little farther down the line.
Yeah, that was probably 4 or 5 years after he was underground. So when he was underground, everybody who was in the hip hop knew, okay, 50 Cent, here he go. Once again, he talking about robbing MCs, robbing Patti LaBelle, blah, 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 blah. So that was his whole thing. It's just Google it. I forgot the name of the song.
I got it.
And so his whole career has been built on conflict. So he got the right one. If she wants to sit up here and wants to get into a conflict, and he'll probably be the one that'll take care of her. He'll probably keep her out front until she pisses him off. But see, that's a whole other thing. People think, there's stories going on right now with Omari Hardwick, who basically was talking about, how much money he didn't make until Power. But it was never, Omari, as great as in cultural and as much of a, what's the word I'm looking for. We love Omari Hardwick in the role he played as Ghost. But he's not A-list. He's not Denzel. No. He's not Will. He's not Martin Lawrence. He's not on that level. He would love to get to that level. And now,
he is now.
Right. Well, no, he's not.
Well, excuse me. He's getting there now. He actually was recently in a show on Netflix with, I forgot what the woman's name is, but she's a big A-list actor, and he plays her ex-husband in the Netflix series. Mm-hmm. I will think of the name of it, but I get what you're saying is that
there's levels to this. There's levels to this.
And 50 Cent has been, quote unquote, an actor maker. Maybe not in giant Hollywood, but at least on the Stars Network. Because the white boy from what's the show he's on now? Is it Power? Is it
Ghost.
No.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. You're right. His show is
Pleasantville, Power.
Force.
Stop
Force.
it.
His show is Force.
So no one knew him before this show.
Right.
But the people who actually knows him as an actor, he was a regular character on Law and Order. He played an ex-convict. He played this amazing part as an ex-convict dealing with post-traumatic stress, and it was great.
Do you watch Ozark?
No.
He's on Ozark, which is a very popular show right now. He's on Ozark. Nobody was saying like, "Oh, that's Tommy from Power." No, he's this character that he's playing on Ozark, and so we're at a place now where there are markets for everything and everybody. And here's the masterclass part of it. There's a market for everything and everybody, right? And that's okay. I hope Monique finds whatever she's looking for, because she's painted herself so much into a corner. But here's what we know. There are a certain element of black women who still love her. She's Auntie Mo, and whatever she says, she can do no wrong. There's elements of the LGBTQ community that she can do no wrong, right? So maybe she'll find a role on P-Valley. Maybe she'll get her own. What? So maybe there is a role for her in a community that's going to always ride with her, right?
I'm laughing because P-Valley seems to be like the pickup place where you ain't got nowhere else to go. Because old boy who got fired from Grey's Anatomy is over there on P-Valley.
I've never seen an episode of Grey's Anatomy in my life.
Okay, the black guy who's a Trump supporter now.
From Love Jones.
Yes, from Love Jones, whose wife put him out.
He's on P-Valley?
Yes, he plays the slicey mayor. If you can't get nowhere, you can get on P-Valley. I'm telling you, Jussie Smollett gonna be on there next. Anyway, so Monique, like I guess Miguel thinks you can find someplace anywhere. I personally don't. I want her career to stop, because what she's going to do, and it scares me, is that she's picking and choosing how she wants to be as a black woman and how we should be as black women. We have to be strong and powerful, but don't worry about it in the airport. You should be calling your husband daddy and all this kind of stuff, but you should have an open marriage. Like, it's like, well, what lesson are you? They have a very open marriage. They have a very open marriage.
So here's a funny thing. When DL says in his clip, when he talked about she talked about DL's sexuality, and she said, "You got nerve talking about me and my sexuality when you laying next to who you laying next to every day." So I guess the insinuation is that her husband is gay. I don't know. Or bisexual.
No, what he said, the actual comment was, you call your husband daddy, but you pay him. So technically he's your son. You pay him a salary.
That's two different comments. So there's another comment in that he says, you got the nerve to talk about my sexuality when you lay next to who you lay next to every day. So I'm like, what does that mean?
I don't know if that's an insinuation that he's gay, but they do have an open marriage. She said that a long time ago. She got a lot of criticism for it. Your marriage works however you want it to work. My biggest problem is that it's never worked out having your spouse as your manager. We have seen that time and time again. Tell me one person, black, white, green, or blue, where it's worked out where your husband was your manager. Kelly Clarkson had to pay out $3 million to her ex-husband who was her manager. And she just got her home back in Montana. That's Kelly Clarkson, and she's white. Mary J. Blige, how does that work out? Not well. not Reba McEntire, the other one, Feel Like a Woman lady. Her manager left her. Her husband left her for her friend.
Shania Twain.
Shania Twain. So let's not act like having your husband as your manager is a good idea. Sydney has not done anything to move Monique's career forward. Has he?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't care. You know, because I'm really at a point with Monique where I have to manage my peace. People like Monique, I'm good. I'm good on you. You were so funny in your career. You were the most highly respected comedians that was out there, and like you said, weaponizing Black femininity, where that is such an important part of who we are as a community right now. And for you to go in one breath talking about you protecting Black women, in the second breath you basically talking about this man's wife, you disrespecting this man's wife. I have no respect for that. Period. Full stop. And so it's you're a hypocrite. There's no other way to look at it. And so whatever happens with this contract, whatever happens with this situation, when it's all said and done, you got less people that are going to want to come to your show because they're not going to hear comedy. They're going to hear you ranting and raving about your personal issues that are going on at the house. Take care of your business. Leave us out of it and go tell a joke.
Okay.
You've been watching.
Before we leave,
yeah.
Can we talk about white folk business? Let's talk about white folk business.
Okay, white folk business. What's going on?
Johnny Depp won his trial against Amber Heard.
Okay, I don't. You gonna have to do that one. I'm listening because I ain't been following that mess at all.
Are you serious? This even was popular on all the Black folk channels. They all talking about it. Okay.
I have not been I don't pay attention much to Johnny Depp. And then when it comes down to people, I'm just happy with my marriage. So go ahead. You go ahead and tell me about Johnny Depp.
Everybody but Miguel knows that Johnny Depp has been in a defamation suit.
I know it's going on. I just ain't paying no attention. But go ahead.
Amber Heard. And it's been nasty back and forth. She's kind of been proven a liar, and he's been proven as a man who suffered from abuse. Well, today he was awarded $13 million because the jury found that she was liable for defamation, that she went out of her way to write articles, put out things to TMZ, put out things to other outlets, basically saying that he was an abuser when that really wasn't the case. And it was done in malice. It wasn't done in her whole thing of, I wanted to show to the world that you can survive against a powerful man. In reality, it was just trying to platform her into her next venture.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Another situation when someone is weaponizing femininity.
Yes.
Right? And so
yes.
was she a popular actress, or was is she living off his money?
No. Did you watch Aquaman?
No. I thought that whole DC Comics, they really got it bad. They really have messed this up. Now, the Batman wasn't bad. The last Batman wasn't bad, but those other Aquaman and Justice League, they were terrible. But go ahead.
Well, I don't know how to make you know her, but she played the...
What else has she done? Let's see. Let me go ahead. I'm listening. I'm going to look her up. Aquaman. That's it. That's all you got, huh? Let's see. Anything. Magic Mike back in 2015.
She was in Magic Mike? Sorry. See how much I paid attention to Aquaman because we're a comic house.
What did she play in Justice League? Who was she in Justice League?
She was the same girl. She was this girl from Aquaman. Because Marvel, DC's trying to be like Marvel, I guess the Avengers. So we got all these side characters who just pop up in the main movies and move around.
So she wasn't no main character in Aquaman. She was just some side girl.
She was the princess of the sea.
Crickets.
I'm sorry. I really thought I was going to make you know who she was. But was she living off his money? No. She had made a lot of money off of Aquaman. She was supposed to be in Aquaman 2. But after this, they're going to drop her like radioactive waste. Yeah. She was supposed to be in all the DC follow-ups. She won't be. And it's sad because, again, like you said, weaponizing femininity can be very dangerous. Whole thing of her weaponizing the Me Too movement, and she got on stage and made speeches about how she cowered in corners, so scared that a powerful man was going to, hurt her and this and that. Come to find out, he started recording her after a while and then just released all the tapes where she was like, no one gives a damn about you. Oh, you're really going to say that I abused you? I didn't punch you. I just hit you a couple of times. Like, man up. Yeah, go to the world and say that I, Johnny Depp, was a man of abuse, and you'll be laughed out of the stage. Stop it. So it's like...
This is the perfect example of there's a mark of everything and everybody. I'm looking at her IMDb. I have seen none of these movies. Not a one.
I've seen her in one episode of Criminal Minds, and that was back in 1997.
She's been out since 2004.
Maybe it was 2000.
Going all the way back to Friday Night Lights. So, point being, man, it's a market of everything. We just got to find our market. Because these people out here acting a plumb fool, making millions doing nothing.
Found our market. Our market is talking. You know what our best conversation ever was, and our best video where we got 41,000 views? Kirk Franklin.
Yeah, I know. All right, family. We're going to wrap this thing on up. We'll see y'all back here on Sunday. There's a lot to talk about. Another shooting happened since we've been on the show. I don't know if you saw that, Tulsa Hospital.
Yeah. 5 dead, including the suspect after a shooting at Tulsa Medical Facility. So we'll be back on Sunday to talk about another mass shooting. Yay.
Yay. Peace.